Tyler Toffoli of the LA Kings is one of the hottest pieces available as the upcoming NHL trade deadline looms. Today, me and Jack are going to talk about him, what he's worth, what he can bring to your team, and just which kind of team should be looking to acquire a guy like him, what he can bring to that specific team. And this is a tough one for Jack because he's talking about his favorite player of all time in Tyler Toffoli on his favorite hockey team. So, Jack, why don't you get us started with your opinions on Tyler Toffoli?
I've watched him for a long time. He's obviously my favorite player. So it's going to be tough, but I think he will be traded. He will be traded by the trade deadline.
He should be.
Yeah, all signs are pointing towards that, and that's obviously upsetting for me, but it was nice to see him win a cup for LA, so.
Did he only win the one?
Yeah, he was not for the
he was in there
for the first one.
And he was a big part of that one as well.
Yes.
Big part of the one. What you always talk to me about a specific moment, a near moment. Yeah, in that Stanley Cup.
In the first overtime period of the game they won against Rangers, he went bar down and out. So he could have scored the Stanley Cup winning goal. Obviously, he got the primary assist on Martinez's goal, so he set up Martinez's goal. But very much a big part of that team. Still, yeah, I think he's third in points on the team right now. Second in goal, so he's definitely a big part of this, team. And it'll be interesting to see what he can bring towards the next team he goes on. As I said, I think he will leave by the deadline.
Yeah, I think this guy is realistically a second line forward. Like, you'd love to have this guy on the wing on your second line. Like, he can add some good depth. I think if you pair him with another talented player, they could cause a lot of damage. I think he's playing first line for the Kings right now, if I'm not mistaken.
He's playing second line.
He's playing second line. Who's he playing with? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay, look that up. Well, I think he can bring a lot on the second line of like a contending team. I don't know. There may be a couple teams you could pencil him in on a first line, but I think that teams looking to acquire a guy like Tyler Toffoli should be looking to play him on the second line. If you are pretty stacked, I could even see him adding a lot of like good depth for your third line. But realistically, I see this guy as a second line winger. Last season, he put up 34 points in 82 games. That was a bit of an off year, though. He's got 29 points in 52 games. The year before, he had 47 in 82. So, in the past, he's put up 58, 49. So, this guy offers you some good offense, and I think playing on a better team will definitely help him, and it will help the team that he goes to. And we know the LA Kings are, well, they really should be shopping, like, in a rebuild. Are they getting, do they have 2 picks? They're going to have a high pick. I wonder if they have I don't know if they have another pick in this draft.
I don't think they would. I can't think of any deals that would have.
Well, regardless, they're going to have a really high pick.
They should be trading.
They could potentially win the lottery.
For multiple first picks. They should be trading Jeff Carter and Toffoli, I think.
Yeah.
Carter and
for
Toffoli.
sure. They should move on.
At least 2 pieces. Maybe Martinez
I think,
if not Carter, but.
I was talking to a writer for the LA Kings, Mike Comito, who was saying that like they're starting to understand like they need to move on from the guys who won them the cups, and it's obviously hard to do that, but it seems like they're now understanding that, so they are ready to move Tyler Toffoli. But let's stop kind of beating around the bush. Do you have any specific destinations that you think would suit a guy like Toffoli?
It's been very publicly, out there that Boston is shopping for Toffoli. They have been for about a month now, and they're looking like they could be the top candidates to get him. And I think honestly, he'd be very good in Boston. You put him in the second line right wing. Lots of talent around him. We know how good this Boston team is. And I think he would really flourish with their system.
I don't think they would put him on the first line. But no. I think it's possible that they could. Or drop a guy down to the first line. To the second line, to play with him. But I think they should keep, they got the best line in hockey. Which I think they should keep going with. I think Tyler Toffoli on the second line would be very fruitful for the Boston Bruins, especially if they want to run it back to get to that cup. Like, we know they're fully capable of it. I'm kind of looking at them as my favorites in the East, along with Tampa at the moment. So, would definitely help a team that struggles for offensive depth and kind of people keep saying they can one line beat your whole team? Well, yeah, they can because they always do. They seemingly always do. I think second line. At that right wing position, playing with DeBrusk and Krejci probably, that's pretty dangerous second line.
Yeah.
And it would significantly help out Boston, and that's a scary kind of thing to think of.
We talked about how they have the best line in hockey. That could be the best second line in hockey.
The Leafs got a really good second line, man.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
I'd go, but yeah, one of the better
better
second lines in hockey. And I think that Boston don't draft well. I don't think they would have any issues giving up draft picks. None of their players are top 10 picks, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that is a legitimate destination. I think my big destination for a guy like Tyler Toffoli is the Edmonton Oilers. They're playing very well this season. They're threatening to win the Pacific. They're threatening to maybe make a bit of a playoff push, but they are so reliant on McDavid and Draisaitl and James Neal when he's playing. James Neal's been quite good. So I think that, if you can get a better player alongside, maybe they're switching around. Sometimes they have Draisaitl and McDavid together. Sometimes they don't. I think that, if you get Nugent Hopkins, who's a really unselfish player, playing alongside Tyler Toffoli, I think we could see a bit of flourishment from Tyler Toffoli's game there. But I think even if you get him, like if Draisaitl stays second line, Tyler Toffoli on the second line with Draisaitl, or even if I'm moving up to the first line with Connor McDavid.
I see Toffoli. I don't think Toffoli should be. He's not a definite number one line scorer, but I think in Edmonton you put him there on the first line
with McDavid.
Right with McDavid.
Interesting. I think that would work. I think first or second line would really work for Toffoli there. That I think Edmonton should really be shopping Tyler Toffoli because they really don't have forward depth.
And Toffoli's only a 4.6 cap hit, which isn't too unreasonable.
How many years left?
This is last year.
Which is why it's a rental. Yeah, they're gonna trade him for sure.
But I can see him re-signing with a team like Edmonton.
Yeah, I could see that as well. The Boston one, I think I could see as well. I think realistically looking at Toffoli, he'd be
a good pickup for the future.
Like I feel like in quite a lot of places that he goes to, he could stay beyond just this season.
Depending on the team, I think he stays.
Yeah, but I think those two are ones that he would want to stay on. I mean, he clearly would. I mean, who wouldn't want to start winning again, right? So, if you can pencil yourself in, you're playing well with that team, then I think for sure. Do you have any other ones you're thinking of?
Yeah, I've heard Calgary tossed around. I just don't see it.
Yeah, that one I'm not sure of. They have pretty good forward depth. I don't think that one's as big. I think Colorado is one that should make a push for him because they got really good first. Holy shit, that first line, Landeskog, McKinnon, Rantanen. But second line, it takes a bit of a dip. So I think if you can get Tyler Toffoli playing with Nazem Kadri, there could be a good partnership there. Those are two decent guys for points. So getting those two guys together, I think Colorado have a great chance to make a playoff push. They have a great chance of winning the West. So I think they missed out on Taylor Hall. I think this is a decent consolation that they should really be trying to go for because there's such a talented team here. This is a crazy good team. Mm-hmm. So that's a big one. I think that they should really look at Toffoli for their team.
Yeah, I've heard St. Louis Blues as well. I don't know sure where they'd plug him in. I guess second or third line right wing, just because you got. Yeah, I see him being a second or third line.
I don't see that one as much. I feel like they don't need him enough to. I feel like there's a lot of.
Well, Tarasenko's been fighting some injuries. I don't know if he's still injured, but I think that's a lack of a right wing.
What I'm thinking of is teams that really need him because there's gonna be teams queuing up to get Tyler Toffoli. In my opinion, there's a lot of teams interested in him. So I don't see why a team like St. Louis would maybe sacrifice some other stuff when they don't really need him more than another team. The Kings are probably gonna get. They've probably had offers already. They're probably gonna get a better package elsewhere. So I don't think the St. Louis will land him.
One spot I was looking at. I haven't heard if they're shopping or anything, but how do you feel about Florida? I mean, they have Noel Acciari at their second line right wing. Definitely a guy you can replace.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of demand for a guy like Toffoli. I mean, he's won a cup. He's a right-handed shot, which is a lot of teams are lacking that, and a pretty good scorer. I mean, you got to think he's on this LA team, but he'd have substantially more goals and points on our team.
Yeah.
The LA system, and how bad they are. Like, they do not score a lot of goals. You have to understand when you look at Toffoli's stats, they are deflated. Like, on another team, he will have higher stats.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Also, it will be his game will be elevated with
I think
better players.
Florida's an interesting one. I didn't think about Florida. That could be interesting.
Oh, and think that they need the playoff experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a team of young players who need a veteran presence. That's a good one.
I
think.
What players on Panthers have playoff experience apart from Hoffman?
Yeah,
really?
You're completely right. That's a good pick. Similar to that, Montreal I think is one as well because I think they have like the youngest team in the NHL, average age about 26 years old. So Toffoli playing with Nick Suzuki seems to me like that could be an exciting partnership coming, and maybe potentially getting Montreal into the playoffs. Maybe some more teams need them more, but Montreal would be an interesting spot for him. I think that they should look at him as somebody they should want to acquire if they want to make a playoff push.
I don't see Montreal making it. That's just my...
Their team's so young, they could do with some experience on that roster. And if they want to make that playoff push, like not as much as the other teams, this is like another one. This is probably the last one I have. Yeah. But I could see them doing it just because they need a bit of experience because they're such a young team. And like you said, this is a cup winner. So he knows how to get it done. He knows all about playoffs, and if he can get his team over the line, like the LA Kings, like even when they were cup winners, they were an 8 seed one year, weren't they? So he's been involved in like that late playoff push before. Like this is a good experienced guy to have with your young core going into that sort of dogfight to get in the playoffs. That's where I see it there. I got no more though. What do you think?
I'm looking at the other teams on the brisk of it. I mean, Islanders, Carolina,
interesting. Yeah,
Carolina. I don't think Islanders. Maybe Carolina. Philly, not impossible. I don't know what they have to give or what's attractive.
I don't see that one as much. I think the big ones, if we're gonna sum this episode up, are Boston, Edmonton, maybe Colorado, maybe Florida.
Yeah, Florida's a little bit sneaky.
I think Boston and Edmonton are
Boston, Edmonton definitely.
The best
they're different tier.
The best two spots for him, for him as a player, and I think those two teams suit him the most because I think that Edmonton could really use that depth scoring, and I think he would flourish even on the first line, like with McDavid or Draisaitl. Like they make anybody better.
I wonder if any teams could put together a big enough package to secure Carter and Toffoli.
Ooh.
I mean, they do play
Would
very
they
well.
Want to though?
Or they even have the space. That was just a
hypothetical situation.
Yeah, hypothetical, but
I think Boston and Edmonton should really make a push for this guy. Those are my two picks. I think he would do really well on either of those teams. Anything more to add?
No. What do you think they would have to give to secure Toffoli?
You'd probably have to give a pick, maybe a first. Probably like a depth player with a pick, maybe a prospect and a pick. I don't know if he's worth like a first and a good prospect though.
Looking at what people have given up recently, I see at least a second round and a decent prospect.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think it'll be a first round.
If it is a first, I don't think there's much else in that package.
If it's rental, I think it's a second round and like a decent young player, maybe not a guy who's been in the NHL maybe.
Honestly, there isn't a lot of like right wings for sale right now. I can see Toffoli going for a bit more.
Yeah.
I don't think he deserves
a good young player at a second. I think is what we're looking at.
A young prospect, not ready for.
Okay, I think that's a fair assessment of his value.
Yeah.
Because you got to think like he's a rental. No guarantee he's gonna stay, even though we think he might if he goes to Boston or Edmonton. But that's the reality. And if you want to make that cup push, which I think Edmonton really do, that's the way to go. But we will end it there. Thank you for listening to You're Still Here. Let us know if you think Tyler Toffoli will go anywhere, or if you think that me and Jack are wrong, because sometimes people like to say that we are. But you can let us know at Amateur PDC on Twitter and Instagram. You can comment on YouTube, Amateur Sports. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Amateur Sports. And as usual, we post every single day, so keep coming back for the daily content. We will see you again tomorrow.